Every real estate agent in Scottsdale wants you to fall in love with this city. That's literally the job. I want something different. I want you to actually love living here, which means I'm going to tell you 7 things that might talk you out of a move to Scottsdale. Because the house I sell you that you regret in 2 years isn't a win for anyone, especially not you. These are the things that don't show up in the brochure, don't show up on the tour, the things that your neighbor who has visited here a few times does not know. Some of these are going to surprise you. One of them is the actual reason people who move here never want to leave. And I'm saving that one for last because it's worth the wait. This is Living in Scottsdale. Let's get into it. I'm Charlie O'Malley, 40 years living here, 20 years selling real estate in this market. It's not a brag, it's just context for why I've heard the same surprise statement more times than I can count. Someone moves here, gets settled, and I hear them say, I wish someone would have told me this, or I wish someone would have told me that. So today, I'm telling you 7 things, all of them true, none of them on Zillow. And the 7th one, I'm saving it for last on purpose. It's the actual reason people who move here never want to leave, even after the first brutal summer. You're going to want to stick around for that one. Let's start with the one everyone thinks they already understand. They don't. Everyone knows Scottsdale summers are hot. That's not a secret. Here's the secret. It's not the heat that gets the people, it's the length. You're not dealing with 6 weeks of uncomfortable. You're dealing with June, July, August, and a good chunk of September where stepping outside after 10 in the morning is not really an option. Your air conditioning bill in August isn't a bill. It's basically a car payment for basic comfort. And that backyard you paid a premium for, the one with the pool, the built-in grill, the fire pit, you're going to use it beautifully from October through April. Then for about 4 to 5 months, it becomes a very expensive view from behind a window. None of this means don't move here. It means budget for it honestly instead of discovering it on your first August electric bill. And summer isn't even the one that surprises people most. This next one catches almost everyone off guard, and it has nothing to do with the weather. Most people move here thinking, fine, I'll just avoid HOA neighborhoods if I don't want one. Here's the problem with that plan. In most of the desirable parts of this market, no HOA is the exception. HOA is the default. You're not just buying a house, you're buying a relationship with a board made up of your neighbors. They have opinions about your landscaping, your paint color, sometimes your holiday lights. Some people love that. It's exactly why the neighborhoods stay looking the way they do year after year, decade after decade. Some people hate it. They feel like they bought a house and then signed up for a part-time committee membership they never agreed to. Before you fall in love with a house, ask what the HOA actually controls. Not just whether one exists, what it controls. That question alone will tell you more than the listing photos ever will. Now here's one that has nothing to do with money and everything to do with the personality of the entire city, and it changes twice a year. Scottsdale doesn't have one personality, it has 2. And most people researching a move only ever see one of them. From around November through April, the city swells. Snowbirds arrive from the Midwest and the Northeast. Restaurants you can't get a table at without a 3-week wait become genuinely impossible in February. Then May hits you with the occasional 100-degree day, and you know the party is coming to an end. The same restaurant that had a wait list in January has open tables on a Friday night at 7 o'clock in July. Traffic that felt like Los Angeles on a Friday afternoon feels like a quiet Tuesday in a small town for the rest of the year. I had a client visit in January, fall in love, and ask me, is it always this busy? I told her no. She didn't fully believe me until she came back in August, and the same streets felt like a different city entirely. Whichever season you visit in, you're only seeing half the picture. If you can manage it, see both before you decide. I'm here to give you all the information you need to make a fully informed decision. If you want someone to walk through what your specific life would actually look like here, not a generic answer, your answer, my contact information is here and in the description. That conversation is free and it might save you a very expensive surprise. Now, the next one is the one that changed how I did business 20 years ago. Stick with me. Water. You've probably read a headline about this already. Probably something with the word crisis in it. Here's what I'll tell you after 20 years of watching this conversation play out. This isn't a crisis, it's a conversation. And there's a difference between the two that most headlines don't bother making. Scottsdale has some of the most sophisticated water management and planning of any city in this state. That doesn't mean the conversation isn't real. It means the conversation is being actively managed by people whose entire job is making sure it stays a conversation and not a crisis. I made an entire video breaking this down in detail because it deserves more than 60 seconds. If you want the full picture, it's linked above and in the description. For now, the short version is this. Don't let a scary headline talk you out of a market that's been planning for this for decades. And don't let anyone wave it away like it doesn't matter either. The truth, as usual, lives in the middle. Now the next one is the one that costs people real money, and almost nobody connects the dots until it's too late. Here's a rule of thumb that holds up more often than not in this market. The farther you get from Scottsdale, the less you pay for lot and location. Which sounds great. More house for less money? Everybody loves that math. But here's what almost nobody tells you about that trade. This is a scenario I've watched play out more times than I can count. Buyer comes to me with a budget, let's say $1 million. In Scottsdale proper, that buys them something solid. Good neighborhood, good bones, maybe not everything on their list. Then they start looking at what $1 million buys them 25 minutes or 30 minutes further out. Suddenly it's a bigger house, newer construction, larger lot, extra bedroom, 3-car garage. And they look at me and say, Charlie, why would anyone pay Scottsdale prices when you can get all of this out there? It's a fair question. The answer is what happens to that house when the market changes. The farther out you go, the first hit you take in a downturn, and the longest road back when the market recovers. Scottsdale, Paradise Valley, Arcadia, these hold value better than almost anywhere else in the entire metro, through every cycle I've lived through. The outer neighborhoods that look like a steal during a hot market are usually the first ones underwater when things cool off. The house that saved you $150,000 on the way in can cost you $150,000 on the way out. Nobody's gonna show you that math at the open house. Nobody puts it on the flyer. I'm not telling you never buy farther out. Sometimes that's exactly the right call for your life and your budget. Some of the outer areas are growing fast and have a lot of upside. I'm just telling you to make that decision with your eyes open, knowing what you're actually trading, not just what you're saving. That one was about money. The next one is about whether you'll actually feel like you belong here, and it's the one agents don't want to talk about. The marketing for this city sells you a resort lifestyle. Pools, golf, valet parking, a never-ending social calendar. And for some people, that's exactly what they get. For others, it takes a lot longer than they expected, and that gap surprises people. A lot of the social fabric here runs through private clubs and golf memberships. If you're not in one, breaking into certain circles takes real effort. It doesn't happen just because you bought a house in the right zip code. This is the one agents really don't want to talk about because it has nothing to do with the house and everything to do whether you'll actually be happy living in. And this catches people off guard because Scottsdale is genuinely one of the friendliest cities in the country on the surface. People are warm here, neighbors wave, the vibe at a restaurant or golf course is relaxed and welcoming. But there's a difference between friendly and connected, and that gap is real. Scottsdale has a strong club culture, golf memberships, tennis programs, pickleball groups, fitness clubs, social clubs. A lot of the organized social life here runs through some kind of membership or group. That's different from a lot of cities people relocate from. In your last city, you might have built community through your neighborhood, your block, your kid's school, a local bar you became a regular at. All of that works here too. But if you move here and you're waiting for community to find you, it might take longer than you expected. My honest advice? Be intentional about it from day one. Join something that matches how you actually want to spend your time. The house gets you the address. The community you have to build for yourself. Most people who love it here figure that out early. The ones who struggle usually didn't. I told you at the start of this video that one of these 7 is the actual reason people who move here never want to leave. It's not the golf. It's not the weather 9 months out of the year. It's where you are on the map. Here's the thing about Scottsdale that took me years to fully appreciate, and I grew up here. 90 minutes in the car and you're standing in Sedona looking at red rocks that genuinely don't look real. 2 hours north and you're in Flagstaff, pine trees, mountain air, snow in the winter if you want. 3 hours northeast and you're in Pine Top, cabin country. A completely different Arizona than the one most people picture. 4 hours in either direction and you're in Las Vegas or you're on the beach in Rocky Point, Mexico. And a quick 45-minute flight and you're in LA or San Diego with the ocean right in front of you. Most people picture Scottsdale as the desert and stop there. They don't realize it's actually the center of a wheel. And almost everything you'd ever want to escape to is one tank of gas or one short flight away. That's the part nobody realizes until they live here. Not because they're hiding it, because most agents who didn't grow up here don't even think about it. I've done every single one of those drives more times than I can count. camping and fishing with my kids in Pine Top, snowboarding in waist-deep powder in Flagstaff, looking for my golf ball in 75-degree weather. In June in Arizona. We have it all. That's not a sales pitch, that's just life here. 6 things on this list are some version of here's the catch, here's what nobody mentions, here's the thing that surprises most people. One of them is pure upside, and I think that's actually the honest summary of this entire city. It's not the brochure version, it's not the panic headline version either. It's just what it's actually like. The good, the expensive, and the things that take some getting used to. If you still want to move here after hearing all 7 of these, and a lot of people do, you're moving here with your eyes open. That's the whole goal of this video. And if you're seriously researching this move, reach out. Call or text me anytime. My information is here and in the description. Here's what that first conversation looks like. No pitch, no pressure, just 20 to 30 minutes where I ask you how you actually want to live. And I tell you honestly whether Scottsdale delivers that or whether somewhere else might serve you better. Sometimes that conversation ends with us looking at houses. Sometimes it ends with you wanting to look elsewhere. Either way, you walk away knowing the truth. Subscribe for honest Scottsdale content every week. Drop a comment. Which of these 7 surprised you most? I read every one. I'm Charlie O'Malley. Thanks for watching Living in Scottsdale, and I'll see you in the next one.